It's a lot. It's a lot of work. That's why when I'll do a recording, I'll work on it that night. I'll get the full video and audio done, shared to my desktop, and then I'll go through and find like snippets, like maybe 4 or 5 clips, and then I'm done with it. Like that's all I'll do with it. And I
Yeah.
might update like my intro video or outro video. But yeah, I want to keep it simple. Like that's my goal, is to keep it simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
That way I
True.
don't get exhausted. Well, go ahead and
Are we
introduce
starting?
yourself. We're starting. We're getting in
Oh
the
my
rut of
gosh.
it. We have Kristy Yoder here. Super dope that you came out of your crazy busy VA life, and
I just
your
got back
husband.
from
We have James
vacation.
over here too. So
Yeah, I just got back from vacation. So today is actually my first day back
like
at work.
to like normalcy.
Yeah. So you're actually like the first person that I'm having a conversation with. So I hope my English is Englishing today. Apart from James, that I
Hmm.
talk to every day, but you're the first person that I'm having a conversation with ever since we got back from a month and 2 weeks of vacation from the Philippines.
Yeah.
So my brain was kind of burnt or toasted because I talked to James in English, I talked to my family in Tagalog, and then when we were in the province, we use a different dialect. So
Okay.
forgive me if I
You're forgiven.
mess up my English grammar today,
It's all good.
which I usually do. So, who am I?
Yeah,
You
who
want
are
me
you?
to
Yep,
introduce
yeah.
myself?
Introduce yourself, what you
Do I
do.
look at that camera?
You can look at your angle. The center camera is a wide angle, so just look wherever camera you want to look at.
Okay. Hey everyone. My name is Kristy Yoder. I am originally from the Philippines, but now I reside in Ohio, and I am an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. I have virtual assistant agencies, and I also vlog on YouTube together with my husband. I've been here in the States for almost 6 years now, and so far I'm loving it. This is now my home.
Awesome. How long well, let's start from the very beginning. So you met your husband. Talk about that. We're gonna go from like very beginning and work your way up to moving to America and your business. And so you and James met.
Sounds good. Yeah. So my husband, James, he's from Ohio and I'm from the Philippines, like I mentioned. So we met online through a dating site. So it's quote unquote a Christian dating site, but of course not everybody there is, a Christian.
Mhm.
So I met James there. We were friends for like a year and we weren't dating. We were just kind of getting to know each other as
Like just
friends,
social conversations
social
and
conversations. But of course, let's be real. I wouldn't give him the time of the day if I'm not interested to talk to him. But during that time, we're sort of guarding our hearts. But I feel like there's no such thing as guarding your heart because no matter how you guard your heart, there's still that, feelings
mm,
um, for the other person. So we were friends for a year, and then I actually had to confront him a few times because we were talking for like 3, 4, 5 hours
okay.
a day, and I am 12 hours ahead of him.
Oh,
So when I talk to him, it's usually around daytime here in Ohio, and it's midnight
okay.
in the Philippines. So we talk from midnight to 4 a.m. and I had to wake up early in the morning to go to work. So I confronted him a few times. I was like, "Hey, if we're just friends, why are we talking every day? Talking about what we eat.
Yeah.
How our days like." So yeah, and so I forget what he said, but he said he's just looking for friends.
Yeah.
But later I found out that he's also sort of like harnessing feelings towards me. And so after a year, he decided that he wanted to visit the Philippines. And
Okay.
actually, during the time we were talking as friends, I did not invite him to visit the Philippines,
Okay.
even though I really wanted him to go to the Philippines because I didn't want to like force the relationship. And I was praying to God during that time, asking God or telling God that if James is the one for me, then he would visit the Philippines even without me inviting him
Okay.
over to come. And so just one day, randomly, like he's like, "Hey, I want to book a ticket to go to the Philippines." And I was like, "Okay, sure." So he
Okay.
booked his ticket. During that time, it was so cheap. It was
Yeah.
only $800, round trip
Oh my
going to the
gosh.
Philippines. Now it's almost double.
Double. Yeah.
Yeah. So he went to the Philippines for 2 weeks.
Okay.
We hang out with my friends because the group or the discipleship group that I was in during that time, it was kind of strict when it comes to, dating.
Dating. Yeah.
So I had to make sure that we had people with us when we're like, traveling
Yeah.
together, and I didn't mind that because we also wanted to like preserve
Yeah.
our purity to the best of our ability
Yeah.
during that time. And then after 3 days, um we were talking at Starbucks in the Philippines, and James was like talking to me about something, and then all of a sudden he was like just saying this, saying nice words to me. And he's like, I really appreciate you. You're like, the best person that I met. Is that what you said? I feel like that's what you said. You're like one of the best people that I met because you gave me time,
Yeah.
and nobody really gave him so much time during
Yeah.
that time, and he felt that he was cared for, and I was giving him attention. And so um and then during that time, I knew James wasn't or was having a hard time opening up his
Mm-hmm.
feelings towards me,
Yeah.
because James, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
his personality is super opposite than as compared to my personality. If I am an extrovert, then he is an introvert.
Yeah.
So it was really hard for him to express his feelings towards me. So I
Okay.
had to ask questions
Yeah.
to be able to open him up and know what really or know how he really feels towards me,
Yeah.
because he was having a hard time. So, and I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there that are kind of like that as
Yeah.
well, maybe afraid to speak out, to speak out, what they feel, because they didn't want to be rejected. And in James' case, during that time, he didn't want to go through the same situation that he was in before, because he
Mm.
dated a girl outside the US before he met me.
Okay.
She's from Germany,
Okay.
and they were actually engaged. So James didn't want to go through that trouble again of
Right.
Filing papers
Well,
for
it's a
the
pretty
fiance
big
visa.
commitment though if he's wanting to
Yeah,
take a trip to come see you.
I know.
So
I
that should have been kind of like, all right, things might be going down
I
here,
know
you know.
exactly. Yeah, and so I was asking him questions. So when he was like telling me these good things about me, I was like, I forget what the exact question is, but I knew I asked him like, so does that mean you like me?
Uh-huh.
I know. I knew I asked him a question similar to that, and then I think he said yes.
Okay. Was there have you always been able to speak English, or was there like some language barriers and like communication when he was down there the first time? Do you remember
Wow,
that?
that's a good question. Actually, I don't remember having like a language barrier
Okay.
problem during that time. If anything, our conversation was so much better because when we were talking online, we had to deal with the internet connection, and
Yeah.
we were lagging,
Yeah.
when we talk online. And so when he visited the Philippines,
When you're in person, it's like,
it was better.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny because when I picked him up at the airport, James told me that he would never ever forget my expression,
Uh-huh.
because when I met him at the airport, I was running towards him, and he said that my face was all lit up,
Aw.
like my joy, and he said I was so beautiful. So
I love it.
yeah,
That's
so
fun.
yeah, so going back, during that night, he was telling me about his feelings, and so we decided, okay, let's level up our friendship. Let's take it to the next level, and so we dated. So we dated for a year,
Okay.
I guess. So he visited in January of 2018.
Okay.
He went back to the Philippines in June. He went back again in September. The commitment of
Right.
that guy, right? Like
Yeah. So how many
with
times
his
did he fly
resources.
down there?
3
Three
times
times?
in a
Okay. In
year.
a year.
Yeah, and he had to be alone for 16 to 17 hours on the plane.
Hmm.
And so after actually his third visit, he proposed to me.
Okay.
That was in September, and then we started our fiancé visa process.
Okay.
And then that took 9 months, and then June of 2019, he picked me up. So he went back to the Philippines to say goodbye to my
Okay.
friends and family. Or no, not to say goodbye, but to have like a farewell party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because you were
and
making the plans to move to
yes,
America,
yeah,
come to
yeah.
Ohio.
That's right. And then while we were dating, and I knew that I was gonna move to the States, I was actually working for a church in the Philippines.
Okay.
So this was the mega church that we were talking to you
Yep.
about
Yeah.
last week. So I was working as an online technical administrative person. So I was in charge of uploading their online curriculums on the website to
Okay.
the website. So I was in their discipleship,
Hmm.
online discipleship department or ministry during that time. And so when we decided that, we wanted to get married, I thought of freelancing because I didn't really want to start a family and not be available for them
Hmm.
all the time. So I didn't want to go to work from 8 to 5 or 9 to 6
Yeah.
and not be able to like see my husband and my future kids.
Yeah.
So that led me to freelancing. So I started as a actually during that time I didn't know that I was a virtual assistant. um I mean, that term during that time wasn't pretty common.
Okay.
Everybody was just freelancers during that time.
Yeah.
So virtual assistant is kind of like
It was a new
a,
word that
a, new-
wasn't
in a
yet
new
being
word. Yeah,
distributed as a professional title or
right,
anything like
exactly.
that.
So I quit my church job, but I already had clients during that time before I quit, so I had to make sure that I was saving up money for our wedding as well. It's so funny because people they think that when a white person dates somebody outside of the country, Asian country or third world country, they
Uh-huh.
think that that person is only after this white person's money,
To come
right?
into the
To
America
come to
and,
America and
yeah.
live a comfortable life. But during the time we're preparing for our marriage, I was actually the one sending James money to for our marriage.
Okay.
So yeah, so I was freelancing, and then I moved to the States, and then when I moved to the States, I was able to build my network here, and I
Hmm.
was able to grow my business. So from one person doing client work, I was able to turn it into an agency, and
Okay.
we are now a team of 70 plus virtual assistants. So of course I'm no
70
longer
plus.
70 plus. Yeah.
Holy cow. And I mean, I feel like that vamped up incredibly fast.
Yeah.
It's been what, 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, because I started the business in 2019, and then during the pandemic, it was actually a blessing in disguise because businesses are looking for a more affordable solution to grow their business, to
Yeah.
market their business, and we are that affordable but quality
Yeah.
solution for them. So we're able to get a lot of clients
That's
during
crazy.
that time.
That's so cool though.
Yeah.
That's why. So when you, in your transition of coming to the United States, you said that was a 9-month process.
Yes.
Why does it take so long?
Bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy. Okay. All right. That works. I was kind of figuring that's what it was, but you just never know. So you come to America, y'all get married.
Yeah.
Was your business already booming at that point, or was it
When we got
still?
married?
Yeah.
No, no, not yet. So during the time we were preparing for our wedding, it was tough,
Yeah.
because I didn't have much um, income, and James has just little money in his bank account.
Mhm.
I think he only had $4,000
Okay.
in his bank account. And we used that money, to kick off our marriage. But the good thing about it is that when we had our wedding, we didn't really spend a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I think we only spent around $700 or $800
Okay.
for our wedding. And you were there at
Yep.
our wedding,
Yeah.
right? It didn't look like it's a $700 or $800 wedding. I mean, it's still
It was nice.
beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. And then when we got married, we rented an apartment. And then I think I still had 2 or 3 clients during that time, and James was working for an electric company or surveying company
Yep.
during that time.
Okay.
And then, I mean, we were kind of tight with money for, I
Mm-hmm.
think, the first 6 months of our marriage.
Okay.
I remember my dad was here. He visited from the Philippines to attend our wedding, to walk me down the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't even able to give him allowance, to go back to the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I only gave him like $100 for his allowance to go
Okay.
back to the Philippines. So
Now, is that a culture thing?
it is.
When like your parents come to visit, is it kind of like just to bless them with money as they go back home, or like I'm curious to know
Yeah,
what
and
that
to
is.
kind of help, in my dad's case, to kind of help him out as well, because he didn't have much and
Mm-hmm.
he didn't have savings. So I guess during that time I was thinking, I needed to give him some sort of money so that he can use it for something, at the airport, or
Mm-hmm.
he has something to use when he gets back to the Philippines. But it is a cultural thing in the Philippines that we take care of our parents when
Okay.
they get old.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very nice. That's cool. So you're married, you move to America, you marry James, you guys start your life together. When did your business, so I'm assuming during the pandemic when COVID hit, your business started picking up more
Yeah.
traction. How did you begin to grow that?
Ooh, that's a big question. So we did a lot of I did a lot of marketing.
Okay.
So I think 6 months in our marriage I was able to grow the business.
Mm,
Not to the level that I wanted it to be, but to the level where I can also help with our expenses and
okay.
pay our bills. And so during that time, 2019, LinkedIn was our biggest lead generation machine.
Okay.
So I did a lot of outreaches on LinkedIn, reaching out to business owners. I was automating that, and I
Okay.
learned that strategy through my through one of my clients as well, who owns a marketing agency.
Okay.
So everything that I learned from that client, because I was handling their clients, I was doing marketing tasks for their clients. So everything that I learned from them, I applied it to my agency. So we were actually, most of our clients right now, they came from LinkedIn, like almost 50% of them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know LinkedIn was still that popular of a platform.
Yeah, in 2019, up until now, it's still popular. I mean, LinkedIn is not our biggest, it's not our number one lead generation machine right now.
Okay.
Let me say it's a third.
Okay.
So right now it's Google.
Mm-hmm.
So as we were reaching out to people on LinkedIn, we were also working on our or optimizing our website so that
Mm-hmm.
we can get leads. And SEO, or search engine optimization, it's not an overnight thing. You
Mm-hmm.
have to wait 6 to a year before you can get leads, before Google can recognize your website.
Okay.
And so while we're doing outreaches manually, we're working on that. We're working on our SEO behind the scenes.
Okay.
So now our SEO is working, and it's giving us, I think, 15 to 20 leads a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're in the beginning phase of building that out, did you have employees working for you at the Philippines at the time, or were you kind of like still the main person doing all the manual labor and reaching out and all that stuff?
Yeah, during that time, I was the only one doing everything.
Okay.
Working for clients' project, marketing myself, my brand during that
Mm-hmm.
time. And then just one day I realized this is not the life that I want. you
we
know,
all hit those
right?
moments.
Like when I was in the Philippines, when I quit my job, I wanted to do freelancing because I wanted to spend time with my loved ones, my husband and friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
But during that time when I was building the business, I wasn't spending time with my loved ones.
Yeah.
There was even a time I stayed up until 4 or 5 a.m. And James, during that time, he wakes up around that time. So it was like, babe, why are you still awake? I was like, I need to finish this website for my client. And I was like, I thought I wanted freedom and flexibility in my business. So when I hit, I mean, it's not really rock bottom, but when I got overwhelmed,
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? This is not what I had envisioned myself to do, being a freelancer, being so busy and being kind of like a slave to clients. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I have a lot of freelancer friends in the Philippines. I contacted them and then they helped me sort of like establish the business
Mm-hmm.
initially until I had my simple recruitment process, and then I was able to recruit a lot of people from the Philippines.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so your recruiting process, what's that look like?
Now.
Well, then let's go. Then what was your recruiting process then versus now? Because
my
now you're much more
Oh
efficient
yeah,
and
yeah. My recruitment process before was posting something on Facebook, hey, I need this person, I need a social media manager. If you're interested, send me your resume via email.
mm-hmm.
And so I received their resume via email, and then I scheduled them for an interview.
Okay.
Zoom wasn't popular during that time. It was Skype. Did you use
Skype. Oh
Skype
yeah, I
before?
remember Skype.
Yeah, we're
Yep.
using Skype. I was using Skype to interview people, and that's it. If I like you, if you answer my questions, then that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was my recruitment
Now, did you have
process.
to train anybody, or was it kind of like once you looked at their resume, you knew specific things that you wanted them to do? So like once you hired them, you just uploaded their profile to like a portal and they could go through projects.
Yeah, so during that time, I was looking for VAs that are already experienced because I
Okay.
didn't have the capacity to train them.
Okay.
And so I was looking for people who are already experienced. So when I look at their resume, I look at their experiences and their work portfolio, and then I interview them. I ask them about their skills, their experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of assess their character.
Okay.
Um sort of during that time, but I was also sort of pushed to train them when I hired them
Okay.
because our clients' needs are ever changing. So one day they would need a social media manager, and then the following day they would need something else, let's say LinkedIn outreach. And if the VA that's working
Okay.
for that client is not experienced in a specific area, then I would train them so that we
Okay.
can keep the client. And so that was my recruitment process before. Now it's more strict.
Defined strict. So what?
It's
Well,
more
before
strict.
before we get to that point, so in your process of training people, did you move your uh do we call them employees or just VAs?
Team members.
Team members? Okay.
Yeah.
So when you first started getting team members on for your business, did you once you hired or put a team member to a specific client, did you ever change that team member or change the team member per client? Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Initially, no. Whoever is that VA that we assign to the client,
Mhm.
that's fixed.
That there's no
That
movement there.
there's
That's
no
it.
movement.
Okay.
But eventually, as we grew, as we help clients, we change our business model.
Okay.
So now we are providing a team of virtual assistants.
Okay.
So
And that carries the flexibility for the
right.
client in case if they have like any last minute requests, whatever, you have a team that can help assist with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So now one client has multiple virtual assistants in their
Okay.
team. So if they need a social media manager, website designer, SEO specialist, we provide them 3 virtual assistants with those specific skill sets.
Okay.
And then if after a week the client says, "Oh, I need an executive assistant," then we'll add another team member to that client's project. And
Okay.
if the client says, "I don't need an SEO VA anymore," then we'll remove that VA
Okay.
from the client's
Wow, that's a
projects.
lot of flexibility.
A lot of flexibility.
That's very
So
nice.
they can upgrade and downgrade their
Okay.
plan.
So they're playing in different pricing points, right?
Yeah, right.
So if a client reaches out and you book a new client for your service, are they locked into like a 6-week contract, 3 month, 6 month, 12
We have
month?
we have a 3-month contract.
Is that the bare minimum?
It's
3
the
months?
it's the bare minimum. So
Okay.
we have 40 hours a month and 80 and then 160
Okay.
hours a month. So if they sign up for any of those plans initially, we ask them for a 3-month commitment. But of
Okay.
course, if they don't like us and they want to leave even before finishing the 3-month contract or the
Mhm.
3-month commitment, of course they are free to go.
Okay.
We cannot force somebody to stay with us, but
Right.
we charge an early termination fee,
Okay.
which is very cheap. It's just for us, to
Well, there's
uh,
time invested to
yeah,
learn their
to get a
business, their
return on our
brand, and
investment.
yeah.
Yeah, because when we do our onboarding with the VA, when we onboard the team,
Yeah. That takes
to the
time.
client's
And
project, that takes time, research,
yeah.
and a lot of energy as well
Yeah.
on our end.
For
Yeah,
sure. That is so cool. I didn't realize you offered that much flexibility.
so much
That I'm
flexibility.
sure in planning that or structuring that out, was that hard to do to navigate to the flexibility you offer clients now? Because I feel like there's so many topics every client and every
Oh yeah.
client's different. So like they could use, whatever term or whatever they need for their business. And then for you to reach out and find that to add that person to a team, like, was it hard in navigating to that flex?
To be honest, not really, because I was able to build my leadership team
Okay.
to navigate those changes.
Okay.
So,
Which we're still in the Philippines,
yes,
right?
they're
Okay.
in the Philippines. Yeah. So, when I built that model, I already have my operations manager, I already have my project leaders.
Okay.
So now, the project leader is the one monitoring the team.
Okay.
So per client, there's a team of virtual assistants and there's also a project leader.
Okay.
So the project leader is the one responsible for managing the team. So
Okay.
if the client wants to replace a VA or add another VA or upgrade or downgrade their plan, that is the project leader's responsibility.
Okay. So now
Yeah.
you're at a point now where you just kind of oversee everything,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I bet that's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice. But of course, if you grow so much, you also go through a lot of
Oh
challenges.
yeah.
Yeah, so we can talk about challenges for like 12 hours, 24
What what's
hours.
what's yeah, we can just dive into it right now. Before I don't want to lose topic, so the strictness
The
and
strictness of the recruitment
hiring of
process.
recruiting. Yeah. So what's that process now like?
Okay, so let's just say, because you asked me earlier how strict, define strict.
Hmm.
Let's just say some of my old team members or um, old team members, they're still current. Some of my team members who've been with us for the longest time without this strict process
Hmm.
yet, they're like, oh, I'm glad that I was able to get into this company before
Before.
before they had this recruitment process,
Okay.
because now we have a recruitment platform that we use, and we use their system called 5-star employee.
Hmm.
So we now only hire 5-star team members.
Okay.
And so the process now is that first they fill out a form online.
Mhm.
So we send them basic qualifying questions. There's only like 3 or 5. And if you pass those basic qualifying questions, then we send you an assessment, 2 assessments. First, communications assessment,
Okay.
English communication assessments,
Hmm.
verbal and written, because
Okay.
it's important, for us to determine
To provide that,
if a team member knows how to speak English, right?
Yeah.
And so if the VA, if the candidate, was able to pass that, then we send the psychometric assessment, which is to
Psychometric.
psychometric
Okay.
assessment. So this is to assess their cognitive ability,
Okay.
their personality, and their skills.
Okay.
So once they're done with the psychometric assessment, so if you pass that, then you move on to the next step. If you don't, then
That's it.
that's it. Yeah. So if you pass the psychometric assessment, and by the way, our psychometric assessment, this is based on our current 5-star team members.
Okay.
So there's a measurement. Let's say our 5-star team members achieve 80% of that assessment,
Mhm.
then those candidates who are going to take that psychometric assessment should at least have 70 to 80%. Should
Okay.
be close to the score that our 5-star, VAs
Okay.
currently have,
Okay.
And so after the psychometric assessment, that's the only time we review their CV.
Okay.
That's the only time we review their CV. If
And
we like
CV is
resume,
everything. Okay.
yeah, their CV and work portfolio.
Okay.
And then once everything looks good on their CV and portfolio, because everything is automated before the step where we check their CV and portfolio.
Okay.
Right. And so my recruitment specialist, she checks the CV and portfolio. Once it's all good, then we schedule the candidate for an initial interview, and then skill set interview, and then culture alignment interview, which
Holy
is the final
cow.
interview.
This is a lot.
It is a
Oh
lot.
my gosh. That is crazy.
Yeah, and to be honest, I just realized recently that I can actually start a recruitment firm because we have that process already and we have the platform, I have the people, so I can take out that side of my business and start something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things people gotta do before they even
We really filter them.
yeah. Which I
Yeah.
think is I mean, was that a lot to put together? Or was it kinda I mean, because this is like what
Initially,
you do, and it's like you already have the mentality for it. Was it challenging? Kind of
initially because we paid for a training to learn all that process.
okay.
I didn't just Google it.
Yeah.
I think we were trained for like 3 months
Okay.
to do that, to be able to understand why we need to do those things.
And were
And
your project managers a part of that
my
training?
recruitment specialist and my operations
Okay.
manager. So actually on our end, it's kind of nice because it gives us peace of mind that we're hiring the right people,
Right.
right? But regardless of how many steps we have in place, we won't really know if the person is the right fit until we try them and test them. So
Yeah.
even after going through the recruitment process, even after hiring, we have a 3-month sort of like probationary period
Okay.
to see if the VA really
Fits.
fits our culture and
Yeah.
the VA is good, can produce quality work.
How
But
much work do you give a new recruiter, a new recruitee, new person?
how much?
Yeah, like so say you just brought someone onto your team and they're under the project manager and they're doing work and stuff. How much work does that new person get in
The
that
VA?
3-month probationary period? Yeah.
It depends because we have VAs who are full time with us and there
Mhm.
are VAs who are part time.
Okay.
So if they are full time, immediately they can get a lot of clients. They can
Okay.
start. I mean, we give them clients slow,
Yeah.
because we don't want to overwhelm them at the beginning.
Right.
But we start them off with 40 hours and then 80 hours until they have a 160-hour total amount of
Wow.
client projects. Yeah. But
That's
for
so cool.
part-time VAs, we have just 40-hour work for them
Per month?
per month
Okay.
because they have other clients outside,
Okay.
my company.
Okay. When you hire people, are they exclusively so I know in the United States at least, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, they banned the like NDA like
Yeah.
non-disclosure, so like or non-compete, that's what it was.
Non-compete.
They
Yeah.
banned the non-compete. Do you do that with your VAs? Like if they work for you and then they want to quit, they go do their own thing. Have you faced them like trying to poach your clients here in the US and start their own
So,
company?
okay, we have NDA.
Okay.
But
Which NDA makes sense. Client,
we have
protective
NDA
and
and we have non-compete.
So you do have non-compete.
We have non-compete,
Okay.
but to be honest, we're very lenient when it comes to that because um it's kind of stupid, to be honest, having having
Well,
that.
I mean, it's
You know,
different. So I don't know, like Philippine culture, but like
because I mean, I agree that they ban it here because it's also kind of hard, if you're a nurse, and if you cannot work at other hospital,
mm,
at the
right.
what kind of livelihood would you have if it's
Yeah.
your profession? If you're a marketer and you work for Apple, and then you wanna go to Samsung. Is that a US brand? Is that a US
Samsung,
brand, Samsung?
or go if you work at Apple, and
Let's
then
just say
you want to
Sony.
go to Google
Oh,
or
Google.
something,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know?
That's a good example. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you work with Apple as a marketing strategist and then you want to go next to Google, I mean, if that is your livelihood,
And you want to do it.
then you want to
So
do it. Nobody can stop you
right.
from doing that. But we have non-compete, but we're very lenient and we allow our VAs to have other clients outside
Okay.
our agency because that's what freelancers do.
Yeah.
They need to have a lot of clients, and if I was the VA, if I was still freelancing, I also don't want to be limited
Right.
to who I can work with and for.
Right.
And so, but last year was um the hardest part of the business.
How so?
This is probably the part of the episode where you add like sad music.
Little violin,
Yes. Or like, "Dun, dun, 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 dun." Do you know that song? Like the viral song. But anyway, last year was kind of the hardest because I was betrayed.
You were betrayed.
I was betrayed by people that I trusted.
Mm.
Um, this is probably the first podcast that I'm sharing this
Well,
on.
hey.
Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna name names because I
No,
want to share
don't do that.
because I want to share this episode on my Facebook.
Yeah.
But I was betrayed by three people that
Okay.
I trusted, and these three people, I love them dearly.
Mm.
When I last went to the Philippines, I had coffee with them.
Mm.
I had meals with them. I had karaoke with them. Didn't know that they were stabbing me behind my back already.
Okay.
So, so there's three team members. The two of them already left.
Okay.
But I didn't know that they left because they already building their own agency.
Okay.
And then so there's this one other team member that was left with us that's still working for us during that time. And um, then out of the blue, one of my team members came to me, and this person said, "You know what? They are building an agency." And this person, I don't want to say she or he, because I don't want to give a hint.
This person.
Because these three people also don't know who told me about
Okay.
the thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
So this person who told me about what these three people who were doing gave me information, and it was really shocking
Yeah.
because those people they're educated.
Yeah.
They're educated, professional.
Mm.
I wouldn't even think even once that they can do that. And so what they did, they poached some of our team members,
Okay.
poached some of our clients, and that's why during that time we had attritions,
Mm.
clients canceling their accounts. It's because
They were
they
going
were
to the
poached.
other.
Yeah. And so when I found out about it, I had a whole company, sort of like a town hall, a
Okay.
meeting, and then I told them about what happened. Like I was very transparent.
Mm.
And I told them, if you're working for these people, either you work for those people or you choose us,
Mm.
because I won't support a business that has no integrity.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't mind them building their own agency.
It was how it was done, and
Yes, like
how everything came
yeah,
about,
if
and
they came to me and asked, "Hey, Kristy, we want to build our own agency. Is that okay?" Sure, I may be able to mentor them and then give them ideas
yeah.
on how to build an agency, but they didn't do that. They poached my team members, and the sad thing about it is that they told the team members that they were poaching that I knew about it, and I didn't.
That's just dirty.
It is
That's dirty.
very much. And
Dirty
so,
business.
yes, and I told those team members, if you want to work for them, but leave smart VAs.
Yeah.
If you want to stay with smart VAs, just stay with smart VAs, because I don't want to support a business that doesn't have integrity. And it's also kind of,
Well, you would think that. Did you have to reach out to the clients they poached, or did you just?
yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was
more than reach out.
it was a big ordeal.
It was a big ordeal. So we reach out to the clients. We sent them emails like, hey, we found out that you're doing this, blah, 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 based on our contract. You're
Yeah.
not allowed to do that. Because our clients, if they want to work directly with the VA, it's possible.
Yeah.
But they have to pay us a certain amount of money. I think
Right.
in our contract, it states 12 months worth of their subscription.
Okay.
So let's say if their subscription is $1,000 a month, then times 12, it's $12,000, right?
Yeah.
So if they come to us and say, hey, we want to hire this VA directly because we really want this VA and we want that VA to be our employee, then there's an option,
Yeah.
But you have to pay us because we recruited. I
You
explained to
recruited,
you
you
our
trained,
recruitment
you-
process,
yeah,
right?
There's a lot of time,
So there's,
energy.
and we also invested in our sales and marketing effort in order to get that client,
Right.
And if we just agree simply that, okay, you can have the VA, then we're losing a client,
Yeah.
and we're
You're
not just
losing the initial investment to get your money back from the time and finances it took to book that client. And so,
Right.
yeah, that makes sense.
exactly. And if the client is gonna stay with us for the next 2 years, then we're losing the next 2 years of their payment. So
Right.
there's an option. And I was also kind of disappointed with our clients, business owners
Right.
who were willing to be poached.
Right.
It's like,
It makes you think, do I want you as a client if this is how you conduct your business? Like, sure, we can have a contract, we can, agree on payments and services rendered and stuff, but at the same time, it's like, man, if you're that quick to just up and leave.
right, exactly. And if they don't want to pay that much money, to hire the VAs directly, they can talk to us and ask for a discount.
Negotiate.
Yeah. And so I was kind of disappointed that there are business owners who are capable of doing that as well, because as a business owner, I don't want to be poached. I don't want to be poached because I understand, the effort, the
Yeah.
work that it took to get those team members and the client.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I hope
Was it
it
one of
doesn't
those just
happen to
kind of
them.
like wish you the best? Like,
Actually,
kinda,
no, I had to contact a lawyer.
really?
I told you it was an ordeal.
Okay.
I had to contact a lawyer to send a cease and desist letter to those clients.
Wow.
And so I was talking to a mentor during that time, and what he told me was really good, because my mentor is also a Christian, and I've been working with him for the last 4 years now, and
Okay.
I really trust him, and he knows me already. And so he told me, Kristy, I know you have already forgiven them,
Mm,
maybe during that time I was talking to him, to him, I have not forgiven those three team members
Yeah.
completely yet, because it was really hard.
Yeah.
But he told me that you have a responsibility to your company.
Mm,
You have to show your people that this is not okay, and you have to protect your current team members.
right.
And so he told me to send cease and desist letters,
Okay.
to set an example that, hey,
Like, this is not okay.
this is not okay, and we're gonna fight.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not thinking of like going through the court, but we just sent them a cease and desist letter so that they know that, hey, we're serious about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I probably sent 7 cease and desist letters. I
Okay.
had to contact an authority. So it was really hard.
Yeah.
The anxiety, the stress of not knowing if those clients are gonna reply back to those cease and desist letter. Because we were also asking them for money.
Yeah.
Because there's a 12-month payment.
And there's a contract.
There's a
There's
contract
a
you
binding
sign.
contract.
Yeah, there's a binding contract, and so I'm glad
Is it all done
that
and
part of me was over.
finished? Okay.
Yeah. It's finished. I mean, some of them wasn't like fully closed,
Yeah.
but I just closed that door and move on.
Well, that's a pretty big challenge. What did that do for so you being the CEO of Smart VAs, what did that do for you internally to like walk through that and then to come out on the other end of it? Do you feel like it made your company stronger? Do you feel like it made you more of a confident CEO, virtual assistant, business owner, or was it kind of just like okay, we have this foundation set that we didn't really know we needed to be set, and now that it's set, you just kind of leave it, walk on, and
Yeah, so um it was a sad situation that happened, and I don't want to wish that, to anybody.
yeah.
And I didn't want it to happen again to me.
Yeah.
Please, Lord, no. But I was kind of glad that happened, because I was able to know who my trustworthy team members are.
Yeah.
You know, like they say, it's not about the people who left, it's about the people who stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And I focus on those people, and I doubled on my relationship with them. But at the same time, I struggled trusting
Yeah.
people. I was fed up with people.
Yeah.
You
I know
know,
I've had those moments.
yeah.
Bless it, Lord. Well,
y-
and it can make it, I mean, I feel like it would make it even more challenging too, because you're here in Ohio and they're still in the Philippines. So not only do you have the time zone difference, you're now dealing with Wi-Fi and connectivity and navigating and going through all that. So I feel like that just added to the stress.
yeah, but my team members, um they work during daytime here in Ohio.
Okay.
So they follow our time zone.
Okay.
So yeah, so my operations manager, my COO during that time told me, if you want to file a case here in the Philippines, I would be the one to go to court. To be
Represent.
my proxy.
Yeah.
Because
That would be a lot.
because I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody was just all in during that time supporting me.
Okay.
Everybody was like, my team members, they were sending me messages, and those team members that were poached, they actually stayed with us.
Wait, say that again?
The team members that were poached,
Uh-huh.
they stayed with us.
Okay.
So they quit their job with the other agency,
Okay.
and they stayed with us.
Okay.
Yeah, so
What was that process like? Did you have like a personal conversation with them?
oh yeah, I had a
Like,
conversation with them. My team members, their superiors, had conversations with them. But yeah, it was a difficult situation. And then, as a person, as the CEO, what I learned, you know, I learned a lot.
we're gonna
What
have pictures appear in the
specifically?
video of Kristy like going through war, going through the
Yeah, it's
trenches.
like, actually, I I had a phase in my business where I struggled with who I am.
Hmm. Was it during that time, or just like in
I mean,
general?
during that time, and also during the times I was having, challenges with a few of the team members.
Hmm.
And so they're leading people. It's not easy.
Right.
And sometimes you can care for people so much out of the goodness of your heart, but then they can look at you as pleasing somebody.
People are people.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, true. And so I struggled with my identity during that time,
Hmm.
to be honest. But it's like it stripped me off of my identity.
Yeah.
But I feel like that process was also helpful to me,
Hmm.
because I realized that who I was before was different now. Before, when I was single, I'm a different Kristy.
Yeah.
When I got married, I realized that what I knew about myself when I was single wasn't everything about me. So when I got married, I learned different sides of me.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I can scream, that I can bang the door. Well,
Throw the plates across the room at James's
I haven't
head.
done
No.
that. No, no, but you know, but I didn't know that I have, those sides.
Yeah.
To those people who are watching, please don't judge me. Marriage people, I know you'd understand. But now that I am leading people,
Yeah.
I got to know more of myself. And it wasn't the Kristy Yoder in 2019, twenty
Yeah.
fifteen. It's the 2025 version of Kristy Yoder. Like, we're growing
Which is better and greater.
better and greater.
You know, that's
Yeah.
what I think that's what experiences do to us. We can either fault and collapse under what's around us, or we can push through and discover new things about ourselves.
Right, exactly. And it's actually a beautiful process.
Yeah.
I mean, during the time you're facing challenges, you hate it. But
Mhm.
after you overcome those challenges, it's actually a beautiful process because you're becoming a better version of
Of
yourself.
yourself.
I feel
Yep.
like I'm a different person now
Yeah.
than before.
I can agree with that. That's what growth happens.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the whole
Yeah.
purpose of growth. That's it's giving me a picture, like, it's so interesting. I saw a time lapse video, something of uh like a flower or a tree growing and how it has to puncture the ground, but the taller it gets, the deeper the roots grow, and it goes through winter, goes through storms and rain and lightning and all these things, but it's still growing and blooming. And yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
It's good that you can look at that past experience. You've made it to the other side of things and you're like, yeah, there's certain things about myself that I discovered, and ultimately makes you a better person, makes you a better wife,
Right.
friend to
Yeah.
people, and that's cool. I
Yeah.
like that.
And my roots are deeply rooted now. So whatever comes my way,
You ain't moving.
I'll
You ain't
just,
budging.
yeah. I'm like, excuse me. I'm just going to dust it off.
That's so
I
fun.
need to watch this video when I'm facing through a challenge.
Right? Yeah. Self motivator,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Well, more about the business. So this is it's your full-time thing. You've been in Did you have to register your business in the US when you moved here? Okay.
It's registered
So
here in the
you had to go
business.
through the whole process of doing
The
that,
whole
and
shebang, filing taxes and all that.
I hate
Yeah.
taxes.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
know.
it's not fun. Um and then so you brought your husband on, James. You brought him on full time 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
3 years ago. 3 years ago. So he started part time, and then because of recession, I think
During
his
during COVID?
employer. I, I think it's post COVID already.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think the economy was still kind of bad during that
Mhm.
time, and his employer also had troubles,
Yeah.
in the business, so he was actually let go.
Okay.
And then when he was let go, we're like, okay, well, maybe it's time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time for you to be in the business. So he was actually doing the culture alignment interview. So
Okay.
he's the last step in the recruitment
Oh,
process.
okay.
Yeah,
Does he still do that?
not anymore.
Okay. What's he do now?
Being a good husband. Making me coffee in the morning.
As every CEO woman should be getting.
Yeah. So actually, James, last year, while we're going through this betrayal,
Yeah.
challenge amongst my previous team members, James was also dealing with something. He was dealing with TMJ. I don't know if you guys know that, but I can't also explain it because it's very difficult to explain, but it has something to do with his jaw. So his jaw was hurting to the point where it's affecting his neck
Oh,
and
wow.
his brain. And it's kind of like having a severe toothache, but it's not your tooth,
Tooth.
it's your jaw.
Okay.
So yeah, he was really having a hard time functioning
Okay.
um as a worker and as a husband as well. So it was really difficult. So and part or 100% of his responsibility is talking to people
Mm-hmm.
because he was our culture ambassador. So he was checking in with the VAs, talking and
Yeah.
talking a lot
Yeah.
every day. So because of his jaw problem, he needed to stop doing that. So
Okay.
he stopped doing that. And then we talk about some other things that he can do. So now he still works a little bit for the business. So he helps me with my podcast. So he's the one who edits my podcast.
Okay.
And then we are growing our YouTube channel now. So it's now monetized. So we
Mm-hmm.
are um trying our best to be consistent
Yeah.
to get more money from YouTube. And we have started doing Amazon affiliate.
Okay.
So he's actually focusing on that. So he reviews products on Amazon, and then once somebody buys the product from Amazon, we get a share
Mm-hmm.
of what they paid. So it's really interesting because when we were in the Philippines, we're looking at our Amazon report and we're making money even though we're in the Philippines,
Okay.
and even though he's uploaded the videos like 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool having like a passive income
Yeah.
like that. And then there's this app that we recently found. It's called Flip.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like TikTok and Amazon combined.
Okay.
So you post a video and then you make money from posting a video. And then if you buy a product from that platform, you can review the product and you can also make money from commission.
Okay.
So that is also a good passive income if you're consistent. So he's been doing that, but yeah, mainly those things. But in our relationship, I'm pretty much the breadwinner
Okay.
in our marriage, and that's actually one of the things that I struggled with initially.
Okay. How
Um
so?
because in our culture in the Philippines, and also um I think it's what I taught as well at church,
Okay.
that men should be providers. They should be leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had a misconception of what that means. I mean, people, we can agree to disagree, depending on what
Depending
you
on where you're
believe in.
at, or
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I grew up believing that men should be the breadwinner.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I am married, and I have talked to a few people about this as well, and they told me, Christy, when men provides, it's not always monetarily.
Mm-hmm.
You're He's like, it's not always about money in relationship.
Yeah.
Your husband may not earn a lot, but your husband contributes in different ways.
Yeah.
You know, who's mowing your lawn?
Yeah.
Who actually folds my clothes? My husband. Like my husband makes me coffee in the morning, do house
Well,
chores.
it goes beyond that though. I mean, besides like, obviously taking care of landscape or the home, but
Yeah,
it's the relational piece that, he provides, because it's a team, right? It's not one or the other, it's a team. So despite who makes what, I mean, at the end of the day, it's both of yours, but that those contribution pieces play a big
exactly.
role.
Exactly. And to be honest, I wouldn't be as I consider myself successful, as successful as I am
Mm-hmm.
today if it weren't for my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Because imagine if I married somebody like me, a very ambitious person, we will collide.
Yeah.
There might be competition, ego
Yeah.
that are very, very high,
Yeah.
We might be divorced by
Yeah.
now. But because my husband is very supportive and he's willing to let me shine
Mm-hmm.
because he knows that I have these giftings and skill sets
Yeah.
to become an entrepreneur. He allows me to do these kind of things,
Yeah. To explore.
to explore. And initially it was kind of hard for me to understand that, but now I'm like, oh yeah, why was I only thinking about money when it comes to contribution,
Mm,
right? And if somebody actually told me, if you're making a lot already, enough for both of you and your husband, why don't you just retire your husband, and help with other things inside, in the house, or other stuff. Why do you need your husband, to find a job? Is it just for the sake of him making money, so that you can value him more?
right,
So I was like, yeah, but and we have other plans, we have other goals, like our YouTube channel,
right.
that we want to grow, and my husband is the one focus on that. And you know what, I just found out that it's women being the breadwinner, it's actually popular here in the
Oh
States.
yeah,
I was like, oh really?
yeah.
I didn't know.
So it's funny that we're talking about this. I was I was covering a wedding. I had my first wedding of the year last Friday at the Junto Hotel, which if you guys ever want to get away for a nice weekend, the Junto Hotel is very nice.
Nice.
Pretty pricey, but it's very
Bougie.
nice. Bougie, yes. But I was talking with another vendor during like our downtime, like mealtime. Is basically when like all the vendors will sit for like maybe 20 or 30 minutes. And that's when we get our conversations out and get to know one another better. And there was actually a woman there, and we just started shooting the bucket, asking, if we're married or kids or whatever. And she was like, I asked her what her husband does, and she's like, oh, he doesn't work. And I was like, oh. And she's like, he's stay-at-home dad. I was like, well, that's pretty cool. And she goes, we do really well, and they made the switch like a year ago, I think. Because he had a really high stressful job, and it was a cool thing, but it's not uncommon for women to make more money than their husbands.
Right,
And
yeah.
but it's also it can be a culture shift for a lot of people, because I think my perspective is like, I have to make the most money to be the most successful one, but at the same time, if I get me a honey who's making bank, let's go. I
Yeah.
got no issue with it.
True. Yeah. And to be honest, on James's end, like, it takes a lot of understanding to be in that position as well.
Yeah.
Because other men, if they married somebody who's successful,
Hmm.
they can be insecure
Oh yeah.
or jealous
Oh
or
yeah.
competitive. But my husband isn't like that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad,
And it's
because
one of those kind of like meant to be positions too.
exactly, yeah. And we already talk about him being a house husband, when we have kids.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a house husband, and I feel like he's perfect for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I'm gonna take care of the kids, but he's gonna be the one managing the household, because we know our strengths.
Right.
You know,
You've begin to understand, or you do understand each other's strong points.
right?
And
Exactly,
when you bring those together, it's just like both y'all bloom.
exactly. And if you take away whatever I'm doing right now, and I become a housewife, I would go
It wouldn't be
insane.
who you are.
No, I would go insane. I might spank the kids all throughout the day, because
You just keep a
I'm
wooden spoon in
bored.
your back pocket.
It's like there's nothing to do. Let me just spank you. Mothers, don't do this at home.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I've known you guys for years, but like just getting deep into like real deep topics. That's so cool. I love that. So what's the next thing for Smart VAs? Do you have anything in store?
Just to continue growing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your ideal goal? Like how many clients do you wish to have?
That's a hard question. Actually, we're targeting 100 this year.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are now, I think, almost 70.
Okay.
So we're targeting 100
Okay.
this year. So I am just not sure the consequences of setting that goal.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, it sounds like your whole business plan, your whole business model, from everything I've learned right now, it sounds like it's just a well-oiled machine.
It is, yeah. I can leave, take a vacation for 3-6 months,
Just
and
like you
the
did,
business
when you were at the
and the
Philippines for
business still operates.
a
Yeah.
month and a half and you didn't
Yeah.
invite me, but it's fine. I'm not bitter towards it. I'm not angry. It's all good. But that's so cool. So in the hiring process and building the team members in the Philippines, do you only hire Filipino?
Oh, that's a good question. So in 2023, we actually expanded to Venezuela, India, Nigeria, and Kenya. So we have a few team members
Wow.
from those already.
Okay.
Yeah. It was so funny because I was actually chatting with somebody from one of our team members in Venezuela. And then I was also chatting with somebody in the Philippines. So I was chatting with two team members, one from the Philippines and one from Venezuela.
Uh-huh.
And I sent my response in Tagalog, Filipino to my Venezuelan team member.
Okay.
And my team member's like, is this for me?
So do you Filipino language, what do you call that?
Tagalog. Tagalog.
Tagalog?
Yeah, it's like tag along without the N. So Tagalog.
Tagalog.
Yeah, Tagalog.
Tagalog. Am I saying that right? Your husband's
Not really.
laughing.
You're kind of, James is laughing, but you're kind of saying it that way too sometimes.
All right. So Tagalog.
Ta.
Ta.
Ga.
Ga.
Log.
Log.
Tagalog.
Tagalog.
You got
Okay.
it.
Tagalog.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's the language. Do you speak Venezuelan?
No.
So how do you communicate that?
English.
Oh, duh. Yeah, English. It's like,
come on, English is the universal language.
Okay, all right. And so you have team members in those 4 areas. Do you have anybody in the U.S. that you hire for your work?
I used to.
Okay.
So she was our sales specialist, but it didn't work out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you for hiring people in the U.S. or do you want to keep it like a culture thing? To like where you come from, because I understand the culture piece, right? The providing piece, but yeah, I was just curious. It was just
Eventually. So I have another agency, which is also a VA agency, but the model is different.
Okay.
So for that agency, I just need to research about the compensation, tax stuff,
Yeah.
and also culture
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, I'm curious for like taxes and stuff, if you're paying employees in the Philippines, are you just, what's the tax bracket? Like, what's that breakdown look like? And how do you pay them?
So I pay them through Wise. Wise, it's a payment online.
Wise.
Wise,
Okay.
yeah. It's an online payment platform. So we don't pay taxes for them.
Okay.
I pay taxes for the business here, but
they file their own.
They file their own
okay.
taxes. So they are independent contractors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the system? Because I remember years ago, you showed me real quick like what your filing system looks like or what your whole network system looks like for the VAs who work in the Philippines or team members who work in the Philippines. How do you keep track of their log and what their projects and what they're working on? How do you track that?
So once we onboard a VA, we add them to our project management tool and to our time tracking tool.
Time tracking.
So our project management tool and time tracking tool, they are connected, they're integrated. And so we can actually see screenshots of our VA's work. I know for most remote workers, it's annoying. They don't like it because they don't want to, they want flexibility, right? But if you're with an agency, we have to do it because we have to justify to our clients why this VA worked for 6 hours for this particular task.
Right.
So we use a time tracking tool to kind of know if they're online, what tasks they're working on, and to monitor what they're doing, which we don't really monitor what they're doing. We only take a look at their screenshots if there's complaints.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's I was just curious. Because at any point in time, you could have a team of 4 or 5 VAs work on 15 different projects for one client. So I was just curious to know how you track all that because it's busy work.
It's
busy work.
Yes, and we have a lot of projects. We probably have like 100 projects inside our project
Okay.
management tool.
Do you have any favorite projects you enjoy doing most?
I do.
What are those?
Marketing.
You like marketing.
I like marketing.
Why do you like marketing?
Um, I think I like the challenge of knowing whether you're gonna get leads or not.
Okay.
And I like the creativity that comes with it as well. Because marketing involves a lot of things: website, social media,
Mm-hmm.
SEO, and all that. I like strategizing, but I hate implementing. So I do marketing strategy. I
Okay.
oversee our marketing, but I have team members who does the work.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's like one of the most popular so basing all of your clients as a whole, what's like the number one project that a client will hire your company for?
Social media.
Social media? I
Yep. It's the
figured.
number one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
figured. How do you go about that? Like do you let your clients pick which platforms to use, or do you have a list of platforms that you distribute?
Yeah. So most of the time, they already know what platform they want to use. So
Mm,
it's usually Instagram, Facebook,
mm,
LinkedIn, and TikTok.
and TikTok.
Yeah. So we pretty much know how those platforms work
Mm-hmm.
because we've worked with so many clients already. It's just a matter of what kind of business, we're supporting,
Mm-hmm.
because the strategy or the messaging might be a little bit different,
Mm-hmm.
when you're working for a restaurant business and a coaching business. So those
Yeah.
two are kind of different.
How do you get content, or how do you get content for you to use to market that client or business?
So it's either we use stock photos or videos, which we really don't like,
Mm-hmm.
but y- we only use that option when we don't receive any assets from our client. But most of the time, we ask our clients to create just a 5-second video
Mm-hmm.
or repurpose some of their podcast episodes so that we can post on social media. But mainly, we ask content, images, and videos from our clients. And then we do the editing, we do the caption, and we do the engagement, and then we
Okay.
track the analytics.
Okay. Do you work with more videos, photos, graphic design?
Mainly videos for social media
Yeah.
because it's the number one thing right now. You get a lot of traction online if you have either entertaining videos or informative videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In going through a specific client, do they ever do you have an open door policy where like they can ask you questions on what would be the best option? Do you have clients that come with you like, this is what I want,
Oh
here you go, send it out, do it?
yeah. So during onboarding, we talk about their strategy.
Mm,
We ask them a lot of questions, and then we create a 90-day action plan for them
mm-hmm.
after the onboarding. So we follow that action plan for the next 90 days, and we tweak a little bit depending on the result that we get from social media or whatever project we're working on. And then the project leader actually meets with the client on a
Okay.
weekly basis to make sure that everything is progressing accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of success do you get from out of that?
Like, what do you mean success?
Like success from the client's perspective, success for your business, and like when you're distributing content for a client, are there new things that you learn or that your company learns that you begin to implement to other clients? And what does this success look like for that client?
So actually, for our own marketing and for most of our clients' marketing, social media is not really the number one lead generator.
Mm,
It's kind of like their portfolio.
okay.
So with us, Smart VAs, we're very active on social
Mm-hmm.
media, but we don't really expect to get a lot of leads. It's not impossible to get leads, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just not our number one lead generation tool. So we have Google,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of already know the journey of our client when they visit our website.
Okay. Is that
Because
by information they submit to you?
yes,
Okay.
exactly. And by asking them questions as well. So when they go to our website, what they do is they read information about us, and they would want to find social proof and credibility. And
Right.
so what they would do is they will go to our social media profiles, and if they see that we have reviews on our social media and we have, good quality content on
Yeah.
social media, that will help them make a decision to book a call
Okay.
with us. Yeah, so actually even before booking a call with us, most of our leads, they already know us because
Okay.
we're out there. We're showing up online on our website, on
There's
Google
a
and
familiarity that
in social
they
media.
just yeah.
Exactly. So that's how we help our clients as well to do the same thing.
Okay.
But it's different goals per client. Some
Mm-hmm.
client, they want social media content so that they can reach out to influencers
Okay.
online. So we also do outreach on Instagram, and sometimes it's successful, sometimes we get leads, sometimes it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it comes to reaching out to people online, you cannot be like a robot. You have to make sure that you build a relationship
Mm-hmm.
with them. And most clients, they want immediate results. Like,
Right.
if we do the strategy today, I want to see it next week. But that is not how it works. Sometimes you have to marinate it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see the result. You
And then
know,
you just build and learn
yeah,
and execute different protocols to get it to peak.
yeah.
Um, do you? So I'm trying to think of this question. Um, in so that qualifies under social media management, right? Do you have clients in that aspect of social media management, not just social media, but Google and LinkedIn? Do you handle the client's platforms personally in that regard? So like you'll have their login,
Oh,
their info, and that way you can post and distribute. And do you use I think it's called like a syncing platform where like you can combine all social medias, then
like a
you do
scheduling tool.
yeah, like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
upload one video and it sends out all across the board.
Right. Yeah.
Do you use that?
So we have VAs who use those platforms,
Mm-hmm.
but some of our VAs, they post manually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's say for Instagram, sometimes if you use a scheduling tool, there is not an option to add a music that is organic to
Oh,
Instagram.
okay.
So sometimes we have to post organically. We have to use
Post
to the
manually.
to the platform
Okay.
to get more reach
Yeah.
as compared to scheduling them on LinkedIn. Yes, we do that. um TikTok, sometimes we do that, but we still prefer posting manually on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
even YouTube Shorts, because we can select our own music. We
Mm-hmm.
can select trending music
Yeah.
that will help
With
reach
the
out
reach
to new
and
people, and we insert keywords in the video.
mm-hmm.
So like when you post, let's say you post on Instagram, and then you put a text on the video,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like an overlay
Yep.
text, and then sometimes we hide like a small keyword there. Let's say we want to use the keyword virtual assistant,
Mm-hmm.
we'll type in the word virtual assistant as a separate text, and then we'll adjust that. We'll make it like very very small, and then we either hide it underneath the main text so it's not visible, or
Okay.
put it to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That way it's just still embedded in the
it's
video.
embedded in the video. Yeah, and with scheduling tools, you cannot do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that. So, how do you have any favorite clients? This is where you say they're all my favorite.
Uh, are we sending this to our clients? Just kidding. Favorite clients.
They'll see it if you share anything, they'll see it.
Favorite clients.
Or fun clients. Is there a fun business or company that Smart VAs works for?
Um. Okay. So they're no longer our client, but they're very close to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of my first clients.
Okay.
So they're my client when I was in the Philippines, and I was their virtual assistant. They're based in Canada, so they own a marketing agency and an e-commerce
Mm-hmm.
brand. and so I helped them. And then when so I worked for them alone,
Mm-hmm.
solo. And then when I built the agency, they had a chance to like work with our team members. So we worked together for like 7 or 8 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was their first virtual assistant, and then when the business grew, they were also part of that growth.
Yeah.
So I assigned different VAs to them. But last year, early last year, they had to close down their
Oh,
business.
that
They
stinks.
filed a
Oh
bankruptcy.
wow.
Yeah, so they're very close to my heart because I learned a lot from them.
Yeah.
Most of the marketing strategies that I know, I learned from them,
Okay.
and I apply them to my business. And then there's this. All of our clients are my favorite.
Yeah. There's the line. That's what we were waiting for.
Yes. But there's this one client that stands out the most. So
Mm-hmm.
he is from Kentucky. His name is Gabe, and he runs a marketing agency.
Okay.
And he is probably my top favorite right now.
Okay.
Not because I was really close or I'm really close with him, but because of his growth,
Yeah.
because of him as a leader, as a business owner, because he started with just one virtual assistant with us with 40 hours,
Okay.
with only 40 hours, and now he is subscribed to, I think, 600 hours per month.
600.
He has full-time team members with us that
Wow.
is running his operations.
That's cool.
And he's from Kentucky.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. Like we have a case study of him posted on our website,
Okay.
and his journey, the way how he grew, and he's learning the lessons that he's learned
Yeah.
just by hiring us. It's also inspirational
Yeah.
because he really trusted us,
Yeah.
and now we trust each other,
That's cool.
and we're part of his growth, and he's part of our growth.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I like that. What kind of businesses hire you?
Oh, mainly marketing agencies, coaches,
Okay.
photography, videography.
What's the distribution like versus a coaching business versus a marketing agency?
So our top one right now is marketing agency. Second is probably coaching and speaking.
That businesses come to you to hire
Yeah.
you. So
Mhm.
what's the separation of content look like versus like if you're marketing a coaching business versus marketing a marketing agency, what's the content separation like? Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So if we are promoting a marketing agency, the difference between that and a coaching
Mm-hmm.
business, I think with a marketing agency, we promote them as a whole, as a company.
Mm-hmm.
We promote their services, but with a coaching business, it's their personal brand.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Plus, sometimes with a marketing agency, we don't only work for the marketing agency for that business, but we also work for their clients' projects.
Okay.
So they kind of white label us. So we do different projects for them as compared to coaching business. It's an individual business, so we focus on building the brand of
Mm-hmm.
that person and promoting the event because
Okay.
that person is a speaker, as compared to a marketing agency, depending on what their depending on their clients industries.
Yeah.
We post different things. But if we're promoting a marketing agency, we don't only promote one person like a personal brand. We
Mm-hmm.
promote the company's brand, like the different types of services. We
Okay.
have testimonials and all
Okay.
that.
So with a marketing agency, when they hire you, do they I don't do, I don't know if sub is the right word, but do they sub your company to their clients
Hmm.
to distribute?
Yeah.
So it's kind of just so that's like I feel like that could be a really big money maker.
Oh yeah. So they white label us. We act as their team members.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's say they are subscribed to 160 hours a
Yeah.
month, 40 hours for this project for this client 1, 40 hours for client 2, 40
Okay.
hours for client 3. So we allocate hours for
Okay.
each of their
Do
clients.
they upcharge for that to where they make
Oh
profit off
yeah.
of that as
Yes.
well on top of paying what your
Mhm.
fees are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They have their own
Their
packages,
own system
their own
and
system.
protocols and
Yeah.
things of that. Wow, that's really cool. That's really cool. And that's your number one client base right now,
Mhm.
marketing agencies.
Marketing agencies,
Okay.
and they are really our target
Yeah.
clients because initially I was thinking, if we target marketing agencies, they have a lot of clients and we
Yeah.
can work for their clients.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about, marketing too much to different clients because a marketing agency can have 10, 15, 20 clients and we
Mhm.
can work for those 10 to
Yeah.
20 clients. But of course, not all marketing agencies are like that. Some can let go of their clients
Mhm.
yet. So we start slowly, kind of like what happened to this favorite client of mine that
Mhm.
has 600 hours a month now. So initially, we're only working for his marketing agency. Now we're also working for his clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really pretty cool, very flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. And I'm sure too, when a marketing agency reaches out to you to learn more about your services, they see the strict protocol in action. So, like, I'm sure they're looking at that and going, okay, this is very thorough. And I would feel like that works in your favor for them to
Yeah.
see how thorough your structured is and how thorough the process is to, well,
Yeah.
actually, I'm sorry. I need to correct myself. Your strict process in hiring people, they don't see that piece. So if a marketing agency reaches out to you, how do they become a client to you? Does that make sense?
No. Please
So
repeat. Sorry.
so so you're not hiring someone for your business to work as a team member in the Philippines. Say I'm a marketing agency and I'm reaching out to you. What's my process going to look like to inquire your services to benefit my business?
Oh, so let's say you book a call with us.
Uh-huh.
You go through a discovery call,
Okay.
and then
And that's on your website.
it's
I
on our
fill in my
website.
information.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then they tell us what they need. They're
Okay.
like, "Oh, I need these 5 different things."
Okay.
And we already have available VAs within our team.
Okay.
So we don't hire new VAs for a new client.
Okay.
Sometimes we do, but most of the time we are ready
Okay.
because we have a pool of virtual assistants with different skill sets
Okay.
ready to handle our clients.
Okay.
Does that answer
Yep.
your
Yeah.
question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after they book a discovery call with you, and then what's the next phase?
So they book a discovery call if they're like, yeah, I like you. They attend an introduction call, and the introduction call is without commitment. You don't have to pay for anything yet,
Okay.
but you get to meet your team.
Okay.
So if during the discovery call you said, I need these 5 different, people, we'll profile the best VAs that we have with those skill sets, and then
Mhm.
we schedule an introduction call with the client, and
Mhm.
then the client get to meet the 5 VAs and then the project leader.
Okay.
Then after the introduction call, which is usually for 30 minutes, if they want to push through, then we send them the invoice and the contract, and then we do the onboarding.
Okay. And what's the onboarding phase?
So the onboarding is we walk them through our project management tool.
Mhm.
We talk about the 90-day action plan.
Okay.
We talk about the communication platform that we're going to use.
Okay.
And then we talk about the scheduling, the weekly schedule that they're going to set for their meeting. And then we talk about, just their goals and expectations.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. Very thorough,
very much. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is what a business wants.
Yes,
They
exactly.
don't
Yeah.
want any shady dealers,
Yeah, no, yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that. That is
Yeah.
so cool. Man, I feel like I have more questions about the business and how you implement that, but we're going to take a sidetrack and we're going to talk about your trip in the Philippines. Because there are some topics I want to talk about culturally. Because I mean, experiencing different cultures is such a pleasure and a joy to do, to experience just how people live and how they just go about living life. So you and James went down there for a month and 2 weeks, and you talk about your trip. You didn't land. You landed in the Philippines, but then you went to
So, when we arrived in the Philippines, we stayed in Manila, which is the
Manila.
capital of the Philippines
Okay.
and where my family lives.
Okay.
And so, for the first 2 weeks, I met with my team members. I had our summer outing,
Mm-hmm.
fellowships, and I meet with different team members for the first 2 weeks. And then after that, we went to an island, which is our favorite. We've been there for 3 times already. So, we flew from Manila to Siargao. So Manila is like eh, north. As compared to that island, it's up north.
Okay.
And then the island that we visited, it's down north. Oh my. East. It's east. North, east, south, west, right? Yeah, so it's like
Is that right?
it's on the east side.
South.
No.
James is sitting over here on the
East.
comfy couch.
Maybe east, south, southeast.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah, so we flew and then we did a lot of things. So we stayed there for 5 days. We surfed. We did some.
Rope swinging in the.
Well, actually, it's not in that place.
Oh, okay.
So we surf. So it's been. It was actually our third time in that place, and we just kept coming back.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then after that, we went to another island. We flew from that island to another island, and then which is called Cebu. And then we actually didn't stay that long in that island. We just went there to eat lechon.
What's lechon?
Lechon is pretty much a whole pig that is roasted.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, so that's lechon. So it's
Lechon.
pork.
Pork.
So yeah, so we had lunch there to eat lechon and then met a friend. And then after that, we took a ferry to go to another island. The ferry ride was for 2 hours. And the island is called Bohol. So this island is more like a relaxing trip, but not really because we had a tour the following day. Then after that island, we went from that island to another island. We took another ferry for 2 hours.
Okay.
We went to Sikihor. That's the name of the other island. That's where we did the
Jeez,
rope
how many
swing.
islands did you visit to? This is like 5 or 6 right now.
Not enough.
Oh my
Not enough
gosh.
islands. Yeah.
Well, and these islands aren't crazy far apart.
Not much. Yeah.
They're you can get there within like an hour.
An hour or
Yeah.
two. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went to Sikihor. It's kind of like they call that the Mystic Island in the Philippines because that's where they had witchcraft
Oh, okay.
before and the new agey
Are you
stuff.
practicing witchcraft now? No, I'm
Actually,
just kidding.
I just did you drink something? I actually poured something into
Oh,
that.
did you? Yeah, get out of here. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. I think your
That's-
eyes are changing its
Are they?
color.
I'm starting to spin. Like, what's happening?
You're
know?
being hypnotized right now.
Oh, okay. That's what it is. All right.
Yeah.
Well, nice knowing y'all. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Bears Don't Fly. We'll see you. Yeah. Okay. So you went to all these islands. Makes me think again, food, because I'm a huge foodie. When you came to America, what was food that you've never tried before?
Nothing.
Oh, really?
Nothing. At least at least that's what I can think of right now. Nothing because we have American food in the Philippines.
Okay.
Philippines is, especially Manila, it's sort of westernized.
Okay.
Everything is instructions are in English.
Okay.
You know, there's American food, there's different kind of food.
Okay. So it wasn't much of a shock to try American food.
No, I'm
and
sorry.
That's all right. I was really hoping to have a really good conversation.
Actually,
about
there's
different foods,
one
but
that I can think of right now.
what is it?
Burger.
A burger?
Just kidding.
Get out of here. Well, you also experienced snow for the first time.
I did. It was fun.
Yeah.
No, it's fun.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd rather be here in Ohio during winter time than summer.
Why?
We ski during winter time.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, initially, when I got here, I love the cold.
Because
Like
one
I
of your trips was in winter, wasn't it? before you moved out here, didn't you make a trip? Or it might have been when you moved out here, you experienced winter for the
Yes,
first time.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I loved winter.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. And then
I'm not
you're
a
like
fan.
looking at me like
I'm not
you're
a fan of
crazy.
snow. I like one good snowfall. Give me 10, 15 inches of snow and then it can be gone. Get out
Okay.
of here.
What I hate about winter is if it's not giving us snow.
It can be just cold and muddy.
That's what I hate.
Yeah.
But recently, the recent winter, this is spring now, right? The recent
Yeah.
winter we had, it didn't give us much snow. And I was actually telling James, like, come on, Ohio, you're good in winter. Like, why not be really good at it? Give us snow.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So then does it stay the same temperature in the Philippines year round?
Yes, for the most part. It's
Um,
between 90 to 100.
That's hot
It is hot.
and humid.
Humid. I mean, during nighttime, it can get to, let's say, 80, 85. But during daytime, for the most part, it's 90 to 100. It's hot and humid. So when you join us the next time we visit, bring a lot of deodorant. What? 80 to 90? No, 90 to 100.
I'm gonna listen to your husband
Okay,
over there.
listen to him.
He says it was mostly 80s when they were
Yeah.
over there. I can
80
live
or
I can
80
live
to
through
90.
80s,
80 to 90.
Is it like does it get like Ohio hot though or is it worse in the Philippines?
One thing I want to say, I hate summer here because it's dry.
Yeah.
When you go outside for 10 to 15 minutes, I mean, when I go outside, I get really, really dark.
Yeah.
When I go outside in the Philippines for 10 to 15 minutes,
Uh-huh.
I don't get really that dark. I get tan a little bit, but
Yeah.
I sweat. So I have that sweat
Mm-hmm.
that's like my
Well,
moisturizer.
Well, sun's different there too. Like the heat of the sun is different.
Really?
Yeah. So like if you travel to Mexico or go to like Cabo, the sun there is going to be way more hotter and it's going to burn at a
Why?
higher
What's the
rate
difference?
than it is in Ohio.
Why?
Just because of where I don't know if it has to deal with like the equator or
The
something.
equator, yeah.
but
I think we're closer to the equator, right?
the Philippines,
The Philippines.
is closer.
Yeah, the Philippines is closer to the equator. So that makes it more hotter.
It can. I think it's the equator. I just know like if you go to an exotic resort like I said like Mexico, the sun is just going to be more intense. So like you have to,
Intense, like camping.
camping.
Intense.
Intense. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. She just pulled a pun out.
That's actually James's joke.
Oh my gosh. That's funny. That's funny. Okay. All right. So back to your trip, back to the Philippines. You visited a couple islands. You ate a pig, a roasted pig.
James ate a lot of raw fish.
A lot of raw fish.
Raw fish with
I'm
vinegar,
miss.
cucumber, mango.
Is that like sushi?
Kind of like sushi,
Okay.
kind of like sashimi,
Okay.
but with some herbs and condiments.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Did you have any favorite places you went to in this trip?
Or
new places you really enjoyed that you haven't been to before?
Sikihor.
Sikihor.
The one where we did the rope swing.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll take you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready to rope swing.
Yeah. Oh, it's so fun.
With George of the Jungle.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie?
What are you gonna wear?
A Speedo. James and I will be the Speedo bros.
Not a tidy whities.
Yeah. 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 Nope.
Or kind of like Nacho Libre.
Nacho Libre. Yeah. I'll throw on
with
a cape too. Yep. That's so funny. What's your favorite Filipino food?
Sinigang.
And what's that?
It's sour soup.
Sour soup?
Yeah.
How do you make soup sour?
So either you use tamarind, but nowadays there's like a powder that we use. It's still tamarind, but it's not like the actual tamarind, and you need to like put it in the soup. I mean, you can still do that. It would still taste good. But nowadays, there's much easier and simpler way to do that. So there's like a what we call sinigang mix,
Mhm.
and it has all the ingredients to make that soup.
Okay.
I need to have you try it sometime.
I
But you said you don't like sour food.
no, I don't like I'm not a big sweets guy.
Sweet?
Yeah, sweets.
How about sugar? I mean sugar. Sorry.
Well, sugar is kind of sweet,
Vinegar.
but I mean, like,
Vinegar.
as far like, I don't do a lot of ice cream or candy or cakes. Like, I'm just not a big sweets guy. But
How about
I'll
vinegar?
I'll try it. Yeah, I like vinegar.
Oh.
Yeah, I can do vinegar. The only I would say American food that I will not eat is sauerkraut. Remember I told you that? I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not a fan of sauerkraut. That's the only thing that I pretty much will not
Sauerkraut
touch.
is different from sinigang. I know sauerkraut is a little bit sour, but with sinigang, it is sour, but it has a lot of flavor
Okay.
than being sour.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
actually it's James's favorite. Before he didn't really like it.
Mm-hmm.
When I had him try it,
It's
he
one of those
didn't
things where
like
like
it.
it grows on you.
Yeah, but when we had COVID and we couldn't eat anything,
Mm-hmm.
I cook sinigang, and it wasn't even the proper way of doing it because I didn't have the ingredients that I need, but I
Mm-hmm.
had the sinigang mix, so I was able to do the soup with chicken. And then I had James try it, and then he loved it
Okay.
because it has a very strong taste.
Okay. Do you cook again, culture piece, but like living here in Ohio, do you cook original Filipino meals?
Original.
I mean, like, from like using ingredient, like the real ingredients, and like, do you miss Filipino food back home, and like you'll go out and like sometimes make a meal here?
I cook a lot
Do
before.
you?
I was like so confident. I cook a lot before.
Before.
But
Is there a dish you miss the most?
sometimes I look for spaghetti.
That's not Filipino.
Filipino spaghetti.
Oh, what's Filipino
Dude, you
spaghetti?
haven't tried Filipino spaghetti.
What is it? Just like spaghetti and meatballs
No.
with the red sauce?
Spaghetti with hot dog. But our hot dog in the
I
Philippines
feel
is
like this
different.
is an American
No.
dish.
No, it's Filipino spaghetti is different. It's a little bit sweet.
Okay. Do they still use noodles
Of course,
and a
yeah, yeah,
sauce
yeah.
and
Yeah, it's
okay.
same as what we
American
have here,
spaghetti?
but the taste is different.
Okay.
It's sweeter.
Okay. Are a lot of Filipino foods meals more on like the sweet and sour side?
No, it's very diverse.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were actually colonized by Spain for I think 50 decades.
50 decades?
I think so, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken. So I may have to fact
That's
check
like
this later.
600 years. Is that
A long
does that sound
time.
accurate? Like 50
Yeah,
decades?
I think so.
Okay. Anyway,
One
continue
decade
on.
is one decade is 10 years, right?
I thought it was 12 years.
I think it's 10.
We're all looking at James like, come on, man, look this up.
ChatGPT.
Well, ask Siri. How long is a decade? Oh, it is 10 years. Okay.
10 years, so
Yeah.
500 years.
Yeah, 500.
So we were colonized by 50 decades. I'm not even sure if it's 50 decades, but at least 50 decades.
And they changed the style and culture of the food.
Yeah, the culture is different. And then after Spain, actually, Americans came.
Okay.
And I think they established some education system in the Philippines.
Okay.
And then Japan tried to have war with the Philippines.
Okay.
I don't know my history fully, but that's how it went.
Okay.
Not specifically, but same
And
thought.
that kind of went to the
And then
change
Americans
and-
actually freed us
You're
from
welcome.
Japan.
No.
No, from Japan. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And then Americans were actually the last people who tried to invade us,
Okay.
but they freed us. So we actually got our independence from the Americans.
Okay.
I hope all of that I'm telling is true.
Just take it with a grain of salt. How about that? Take it with a grain of
Yes.
salt.
I'm 70% sure. I wasn't good at school. I
Okay.
cut classes a lot.
Okay. Did you have a good childhood growing up in the Philippines? Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, I think my childhood is very vibrant.
Okay.
Did you know that I dropped out of high school?
I did not.
I was a high school dropout.
Okay.
So, I was a high school dropout because I had my first boyfriend and I fell in love, and then I cut classes because I was also influenced in a bad way during high
Okay.
school time. But people say that high school is kind of like the best part of your life, right? I enjoyed my high school life.
Yeah, I don't know if I did.
Why?
I was a punk.
I was a punk too.
I was a punk in high school.
Like, what do you mean punk? Like,
Troublemaker, rebel. I don't like orders. Don't tell me what to do. I mean, I'm still kind of that way today. Like, don't tell me what to
I
do.
believe that.
I'll do it out of the kindness of my heart. But yeah, I did not. I had a very serious issue with authority growing up. Like, that was a big, like, don't tell me what to do. Don't try to control me. Like,
So during your high school time, now you're saying that you didn't enjoy your high school life, but during that time, were you enjoying it?
when I was who I was back then, heck yeah.
But now you're like,
but now I'm
nope.
like, nope, I'm good. The
Because you
past
were
is
bad.
the past.
You were bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
So you had a good childhood growing up in the Philippines, high school dropout. Did you ever get your GED or anything like
So
that?
I was a high school dropout, and then my mom one day when I was hanging out with my friends, I was an emo kid. That's why when you said I was a punk, I was like, I was a punk too, but you had a different
Well,
definition
I
of a
went through a
punk.
phase of wearing black eyeliner, and
Yeah.
I had long hair at the time. So I would cake it with gel and hairspray, and I would do like individual spikes
Oh.
in my head,
Kind of like Green Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through it was probably more goth.
We're of the same age, so we went through the same high school era.
Yeah.
We're emo, punk,
All the punk
gothic,
rock.
metal.
Yep.
We're very popular. So I went that phase as well. Until now, I'm still that kid. I still listen to a lot of punk rock music.
I'm a big heavy metal guy.
Yeah, true. So, but yeah, so there's this one night I was drinking with my friends. We were at an emo bar. We call it an emo bar.
Okay.
Because that bar, they play a lot of punk rock music, and a
Okay.
lot of emos are there, and then we drink there. And then one night when we're out, my mom texted me. Actually, this is at 2 a.m. She texted me and she said, "Hey, oh no. No. This is not the story yet." So when I dropped out, my mom told me that there's this program at our community for high school dropout, for out of school youth, and she said that if I attend a week review for the entire year for 1 year, then I'd be able to take sort of like an acceleration test for college. And so I said, "Oh, okay, that's good," but I did not take it seriously during that time. So I probably just went to maybe 3 or 4 reviews to study for the exam, and then after that I dropped it. I wasn't really into studying before, and then when we were drinking with my friends, my mom texted me at 2 a.m. and she said, "Hey, the exam for you to accelerate to college is today at this time," which is I think 7 or 8 a.m. And I was drinking at 2 a.m. And so I got home probably around 5 or 6 a.m. I remember not being able to sleep, and I probably didn't even take a shower. I was still kind of hangover. And so I went to the examination location.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't even know that I am still qualified to take the exam because I wasn't able to finish the review
Okay.
for a year. And so, but my mom told me that I can still take the test. And so I went the I took the test, and um the test was for different subjects. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just like random
Right.
questions. I had to take a test for math, science, English, Filipino, like all of the subjects that we have
Mm-hmm.
in our curriculum
Yeah.
at our school. So I took the test, and then after a week or two, I saw online that I passed the test.
Okay.
Praise the Lord.
And there you go.
Yeah, and then I went to college. Still wasn't serious about studying. I was already working during that time, so I didn't go to school much. I
Okay.
actually just paid my clients to do my projects and my assignments because I already had the money to pay them, and they're like, "Yes, we want the money," because they're still studying, and they didn't have the money
Okay.
to buy what they want. And so that's college for me.
Okay.
You want me to move on to go on with the story?
Yeah, sure.
Uh,
You
and
can you
then
can share whatever you want to share.
I don't want to talk a lot, but feel free to cut out whatever
Oh no, I
you
don't cut
want.
anything.
Yeah, and so after college, I met this guy. He's a vocalist of a band.
What was that his name?
I,
What'd you say? I'm sorry. What I don't know what you
I
just
said I
said.
met this guy, and he was a vocalist of a band.
A vocalist of a
A
band.
vocalist of a
Okay.
band. Yeah,
Okay.
a vocalist of a band. And then um, imagine if the name was a vocalist of a band.
Well, it was with your accent. It sounded like you were saying his first and
I
last
know.
name. That's why I was
I
like,
know.
"Is
I
that his name?" Or
Yeah, when I'm very passionate about what I'm talking and I get too excited, I talk fast.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I just warn me.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah. Later on, I'm gonna be speaking in tongues. But anyway, so I met this guy. His name is not the vocalist of a
Right. You
band.
don't have to say his name, but
And then I don't know if it's the same here in the States, but if you're whenever somebody is a part of a band, regardless if that person is good looking or not,
mm,
that person can look handsome if they're
mm,
part of a band. You
yeah.
know what I mean? You know what
I
I mean?
guess I've never been
Maybe,
attracted
maybe.
to other men in bands, so I'm just gonna agree with
Yeah,
you.
just
Yeah.
agree for the sake of this
Yeah.
conversation. And so, yeah, so I fell in love with him. We were chatting. And then, um, when we were already dating, I found out that he's married.
Oh. Okay.
He's married, and when I found out that he's married, I told him, "Well, if you really love me, then leave your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can only choose one."
Mm-hmm.
And he's not gonna watch this video, so this stupid guy left his wife for me.
Oh, you're funny.
So he left the wife for me, which was really, really bad. Now that I'm, an
You're
adult,
here now in
I'm
life.
here now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't know any better during that time. So he left the wife for me. And of course, during that time, I was like, oh, I'm the winner. I'm more beautiful than the wife. He chose
Wow.
me, kind of like that. But yeah, so he left the wife. They have one kid, and she's a special child.
Okay.
And then we lived in together. We lived in together for I think 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And then, but during that entire time, I struggled with trust,
Yeah.
with my identity,
Yeah.
with insecurity,
Yeah.
because he was chatting with other girls
Okay.
and he cheated a few times. Um, to the point where every time he goes to sleep, he would put his phone underneath his pillow.
Mm-hmm.
Girls, if your partner is doing that, that's a sign.
Yeah.
Whenever he goes to the restroom, he would take his phone with him.
Okay.
And almost every week he changes his code on his phone.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Well,
Yeah,
that relationship ended,
that relationship ended.
luckily,
Oh yeah, praise
right?
the Lord.
So
Yeah.
what happened? What was your life like after that?
So after we broke up, I got saved.
Mm-hmm.
My my aunt invited me to go to church, and I just grew from there.
Okay.
So I got saved in 2015 actually.
Okay.
So I was only a 10-year-old. I am
Wow.
only a 10-year-old
Only a
Christian
10-year-old.
right now. Yeah, but I feel like God really fast tracked my spiritual journey.
Wait, how old are you?
35,
Oh my gosh.
right? 10? Oh, 15, 25, 2015. Right, 2025.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be 10
10
years
years.
old.
I am a 10-year-old Christian.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's what I was trying to process. Like, wait a minute, you wouldn't have been 10 years old in 2010. Like that would have been you're born in 2000, which means you're only 25, not 35. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm only a 10-year-old Christian because I got saved in 2015.
Okay.
Makes sense now?
Now it does.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but God fast tracked my spiritual journey. I started handling a group, and I worked for the church, which also really helped my spiritual
Mhm.
journey. I knew a lot about God, and I was surrounded by a lot of healthy people,
Yeah.
which helped because church in the Philippines is kind of different than what we have here.
Western.
Western
Yeah.
church, and I feel like if I wasn't strong with my faith, and if I have if I hadn't gotten to know God when I was in the Philippines,
Mhm.
if my spiritual journey was just, washy-washy back then
Yeah.
I feel like here in the States I can easily be persuaded by different kind of things. I can probably
Okay.
easily compromise.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a different person now.
Yeah. And a successful one at that.
Yeah. Actually, when I was, when before you turn 30, I don't know if the same with you, but probably just for women, before you turn 30, there's a lot of expectations, right? You need to have
Mhm.
a house, you need to have a husband or a wife, you have
Mhm.
to have this, you need to have a car, you need to have a house. Did I mention house
Yep.
already?
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to have a nice whatever. You need to at least have these different things when you turn 30.
Yeah.
And so during that time, I already had my business. But then before turning 30, my birthday is in December. And then during that time, 5 years ago, I asked my husband.
Mm.
Um, Maybe I was a little bit worldly during that time. That's why I asked him this question. But I asked him, we were driving actually, and I asked him, babe, do you think I am successful? You know what my husband told me?
Mm.
I was expecting him to say, yeah, you have this, you're here in the States, you have this business, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. You know what he told me?
What?
It's like, yes, you have God.
Okay.
You met God. Yeah, so I feel like that's actually, if I did not meet God, if I wasn't saved in 2015, I wouldn't be here as well.
Yeah.
This is all part of God's plan.
Yeah.
Even just being able to pass the test, I did not review. I was hangover and I passed the test. It's all God's grace,
Yeah.
So I feel like if God has a plan for you, no matter what you do, if God's plan for you is just a straight path and you go left and right,
Mhm.
God will do things to make you go back to the straight
Right.
path. But it's up to you if you want to go to a more difficult route. And sometimes I think because of our stubbornness, we always want to go left and right instead of going straight.
Right.
So, and there's consequences in
Yeah.
doing that, right? So,
Yep.
and I'm glad that when I lived in with a guy, I'm I'm glad that I did not get pregnant,
Yeah.
because I mean, babies are, a blessing, right? But my situation would have been so much different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, you are who you are now,
I
which
am.
is pretty great.
Hope so.
Yeah. Man, this was so good. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and just kind of share your story, basically, with business and life and traveling and husband sitting over yonder, right over there.
Yeah.
And
See, he's a very supportive
he
husband.
is. Yeah. And you're actually the first person to come to a show and sit down. So that's cool. I
That's
like
your
it.
first.
I like it.
Yeah.
Because, well, I think it's funny. We're just going to throw this little tidbit in here. You still don't have a driver's license.
That is actually what I was gonna say. Yeah, I
Which
don't.
I'm pretty sure you might not even have to study for that test when it's time to go. Seems like you're pretty smart. You just got to show up and do some driving and
I so I took the test. I took the driver's test.
okay.
It was a very stupid mistake, but I feel like there's a lesson in that as well, so that I won't die prematurely. Because I was doing really good. The first test was that with the cones,
Parallel
the
park.
parallel parking. I did that perfectly, and then I did the actual driving test.
Okay.
So, are you familiar with the DMV in Marion?
I think they operate all the same.
Okay, so 10 seconds going before we go back, or 10 seconds before we arrive at DMV, there is a right turn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it's actually a T section. So
Okay.
I'm supposed, is it
Oh, okay.
but it's a T section. It's a one-way street T section. Yeah, I'm
Going the
turning on a
wrong
one-way
way.
street. Yeah. No, not the
okay.
wrong way, but I was supposed to turn right, and I did. So I did turn right. The thing is, I did not stop because of the red light.
Okay.
So because I think I was confused during that time.
You
because
did like a stop. You did like a rolling stop. Is what
yeah,
they're
yeah,
called.
kind of like that.
Yeah, I've gotten a ticket for that before.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, 10 seconds before we arrive at the DMV, we're on our way back to DMV. Stupid.
And that made you fail.
If I was in the Philippines, I would just give 1,000 bill to that.
Be like, just pass me.
Hey,
that's
you
funny.
don't have money to feed your kids right
Yeah.
here.
Speaking of stopping laws, though, this is actually really interesting. And Ohio just passed this law. Gosh, probably 7 or 8, maybe 9 years. I don't know. But now, so to protect women from getting mugged at night, if you are at a stoplight or a stop sign, it could be during the day too, and there's no cars coming, you can actually go through it. You can go through a red light.
Straight?
Yep. If there's nobody in clear, plain sight, I forget what law. It's like SEB02C. Google it. It's
just
an actual,
for women.
Well, no, for anybody.
For anybody.
Yeah, because that was like a troubling thing that was happening. Like women or men would stop at night. I mean, you could be in some bodunk country town sitting at a red light, or even out in the country, and the law is you can't run a red light, you can't go through it. But if there's actually no cars coming, you can really go through it.
That's interesting.
And you won't get in trouble for it. But it's interesting though, because like I would challenge like the whole rolling stop ticket that I got years ago, but it's like they've now made it a law. So
Same.
I can't remember if there actually has to be suspicious activity, but I'm pretty sure the law was really straightforward. Like if you're at a red light and there's no cars or vehicles around, you can go through that red light. So Google it. If you get to this part in the podcast, Google it, but I'm pretty sure it's an allowed
I will definitely
law.
Google that. Yeah, but I
That's
still don't
cool.
have my driver's license. I want to get it, but I'm just scared of dying.
There's a lot of crazy drivers in Ohio.
Plus, you drive really fast here. In the Philippines,
do.
you only drive like 25 miles an hour. That's it. If you get into an accident, you just,
back up and go about your day.
Yeah, like you there's not much of an impact. But here, if you're driving 60, 70 miles an hour, you hit something, you're dead.
You're going down.
Yeah. So I told James I wanted a Tesla, but
you need to get your license first.
I know.
We're baby steps, Well, that's cool. Well, yeah, thanks again for coming on. Do you want to shout out any plugins for people to find you, follow you, subscribe to you,
Sure.
all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
things?
Yeah, well, thank you guys. If you made it this far, I know we talk about a lot of things. I hope you're inspired or at least learned a thing or two from this episode. But thank you so much, Sam, for inviting me. But if you want to learn more about me and my business, you can just go to Yoder.com. That's where I have all of my stuff, my business, even my YouTube channel, and everything that I do pretty much. So go to Kristy, KRISTYYODR.com. And I also have a podcast called Master Delegator. So this is for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders who are looking for strategies on how to grow their business through virtual assistants, through delegation. And that's where you can also hear stories from entrepreneurs and learn more about how they overcome specific challenges in their business and the strategies that they use to grow their business even more. So thanks.
Very cool. And as always, subscribe to Bears Don't Fly or go to bearsdon'tfly.com for all the links and information.
If you don't subscribe, you're flying out through the window.
Good
You
deal.
will be that bear.
You'll be a bear
Yeah.
flying.